So we're going to get started reasonably quickly today. But first thing, please jump on, say hi, let us know where you're from. It's always great having a chat. So while we craft. So let me just bring my desk view up. There we go. As you can see, I've got lots of blends here on the corner. Today we're going to have a play with Joyful Friends. I don't know what it is, but last year I was very traditional with my cards. This year I'm having a lot of fun playing with these really cute outline drawn designs and colouring them in. So we're going to be playing with that. We're also going to be using elements from the stitch stockings. And we're also using the perennial postage dies as well. So let's get started. So I have already done a little bit of prep work, and I have already, if I can find it, stamped my images. So let me have a look. I've been moving things about. Oh, there they are, sorry. Okay, I've already coloured in one little item there. That's the because these are all Australian animals, Australian sort of themed animals. So let me just bring this back in again. We have a kookaburra, we have a kangaroo, we have two wombats and a koala bear. So today I'm going to be playing with the kangaroo, the wombats, and as I said, I've already coloured in the kookaburra. Hello, how are you, Monica? How are you, Deborah? Hope you all are well. So let's get started having a bit of a play. I've already got my map of what I'm going to be doing over here on the side. I have got stuff everywhere. As per normal, I'm working in a bit of a small space. I'm crowding myself in. Now, the reason why I've got these all spaced apart is because I'm going to be cutting these out with my dies. So this one here I will be cutting out. He's going to lose his tail, unfortunately. I will be cutting him out a little bit with that particular die. This one is going to go in there. And then I have got this one going into that die. They're going to be a little bit squishy in there, but that's okay. We're getting the idea that these are all Christmas. So let's take these away and let's start colouring in. Now, with this kangaroo, I'm going to start off with crumb cake. So let me just find all my crumb cake. Crumb cake dark, crumb cake light, and then we have his ears. So we're going to start off with this guy here. And because it's such a small design, I am going to be using my fine tip. And I'm not going to be spending too much time in doing lots of layers. We're just going to colour this in fairly quickly. But I am going to start by putting a little bit of this colour. Now, this one here was called SU1000. Now, I've got a funny feeling they may have changed the names of these. These were the extra in the blends that came in sort of more neutral tones, so you could do all the different skin colours, skin tones. But I just like that colour for the inside of those kangaroo's ears. So I'm going to start off with my light. And I'm going to colour the whole kangaroo in my light. As I said, I'm just using the lighter colour here at the moment. Whoops, have I got the lighter one? Have I got? No, I've got the darker one. Oh, hold on a sec. I've picked up two dark and not one dark, one light. There we go. There's the other light. Good thing I can lighten that down a bit, and it was going to get a bit of dark in there anyway. So let's just start. I like to lay all my colour down first and start. I like to start with my light colour. And that's allowing, and I'm just going around in a small circular motion, just allowing that ink to saturate my cardstock. The best saturation, the better the blending of your colours will be. So I'm just going around and I'm just adding all of this in. And really, I mean, this is probably a little bit too big an area. They do recommend that you work on smaller areas. Now, when I say they, I did a couple of Copic classes when we first brought out the blendabilities, just so then I could get a bit of an idea on the class that I went to. This is what they recommended. Now, you're also good working on a glass mat because it will allow your ink to stay wet for longer. If you had paper underneath this, it could be drawing that colour away. So by having glass under our work, we're keeping that there. Now, I did say when I was doing my course that if your colour is saturated through to the back, that is good, because that means that your saturation of colour has been good. So I'm just going to very quickly start adding in some shading with my dark. Now, there's really probably no right or wrong with this. It's whatever you really feel comfortable with. I'm just adding shading where I believe it's going to be sort of darkish. I'm not coming down too much. And I'm just being very generous and just adding some of this darkness around where I think, as I said, the shading's going to be. And I'm going to come back in with my light again over the top and blend some of that in. Now, I'm going to be cutting off some of this tail, so I'm not too worried about it. So let's bring in our light one again and start blending this in. Now, probably should be doing it with a flicking motion. As I said, it's only a small image, so I'm just really just going over the top of it, just sort of blending those colours in. And doing a couple of layers of that, the lighter of the crumb cake in there. So that can be quite quick to do that. I'm just going to come in and just touch up a few areas. I just want a little bit more underneath his pouch and probably around his paws there. I'm just going to come back in and just go around those areas there again with my light and bring that in. So that's my crumb cake. I'm just going to pop those over to there. Now, I just want to do the little Joey, and I decided to do the Joey. I want him in a lighter colour, so I'm using the ivory. Now, again, this is one of the colours that they did recommend for doing your skin tones. So I'm just going to do my Joey in my lighter, but then I'm going to come back in and add a little bit of shading with my light crumb cake. So it's just sort of taking it up that little bit of a notch in colour, and I'm not going to worry too much about coming back in and adding a bit more into him or blending it out a bit more, because he's only quite small. When you're talking about images that are so small, it doesn't take long to colour it at all. Yeah, it is a cute stamp, isn't it, Deborah? Okay, so his ears, well, not his ears, but his antlers. Not that kangaroos have antlers, but this again is another one of those colours from that skin tone lot. So this is SU 100, and as I said, I think they may have changed all the names of these. And I'm just going to do the antlers in that, and I'm just using it all in one tone. I mean, this is something that doesn't have to look over realistic because it is like a cartoon type image. So there's his antlers, and now we've got the cake. So I'm going to take here the Peaceful Pine, and I'm doing the holly leaves in Peaceful Pine. Just a really couple of dots. I've got the dark real red to do the berries. Again, it's just a couple of dots. There's not much on there. I'm going to grab a light smoky slate, and I'm just going to add a little bit of shading on the top of that plum pudding. And then I'm going to come in with my blend, colour lifter, and just lighten that shading up around the edges and just blend that out a little bit with that one. I've got a light balmy blue here, which I'm going to do the plate, and I've just realised I've forgotten one of the paws of the kangaroo because he is holding it on. Oops, another one. I'm running out of colour. So I've got to replace this one as well. Okay, so let's just grab a light crumb cake. Here we go, and just colour that paw. Just put a little bit more shading in there. Okay, now the actual plum pudding, I'm using pecan pie. I'm going to colour that in with my light. As you can see, this is just very quick. I'm not spending too much time on detail. And then I'm going to come back in with my dark just there like that. So there we go. There's that kangaroo all coloured. I'm sorry, I hope I didn't have that down too low. I think they're now called light, medium and deep. Yeah, and I think there's like because there's like 6 colours, I think. So I think they've sort of gone like there's 2 in each one, a light and a dark in each one. I don't know. I should probably look it up. If we get a chance towards the end of this, I will have a quick look. So let's start on our wombat here. Now I decided to colour him in, and I've got here that smoky slate. I'm looking for the black. I've got light black. That's it there. I just want to do, oops, need to replace this one as well. I love it when these lids just don't want to, they come off with a whole lot. So I just want to add a little bit of black on his nose, a little bit of black on this one's nose as well, and a little bit of black on his. I think that's all the black I was going. Oh, and the little Joey with a little bit of black on his as well. Okay, so I have got here, I'm going to start with my light in a smoky slate. I've also got grey. Actually, I might use a grey granite because it's got a slightly more brown to it, I think. Grey granite. So I might use the grey granite for this one. I'm going to start with my light. Now, I know that wombats aren't a grey colour, but what I want to do, they have got a little bit of darkness in their fur. So I want to start by adding some grey granite, and then I'm going to come back in and add brown on top. And hopefully it's just going to give us a really sort of something a little bit different than our kangaroo. Now, of course, we could have coloured our kangaroo in a grey because you get greys, you get your big reds. So, you know, you could have a look at some photos and use whatever colour you think. But I'm just having a nice mama kangaroo there in my browns. But I wanted to bring in a little bit of grey into my wombat. Then I'm going to add some of the darker shade of the same grey granite and add a bit of shading. Then I'm going to come in and I'm going to grab my crumb cake again in light. You would think I'd know where I've put it down now, wouldn't you? Crumb cake light, and I'm going to add a little bit of this and just spread that colour out a little bit more. So this is where I'm starting to add a little bit of browns into him. And then I'm going to come in with my crumb cake in the dark. So I'm just sort of layering colours and just bringing it in. So I'm sort of giving the like he's got a grey base, but just giving him that little bit of brown, so you sort of, he's not completely brown. Now what you can do is come back in with the light and just give that a good flick across, just to blend all those colours in a little bit. So I'm just using the broad tip side then and just blending those colours all together. So now he's got a little bit of that, and I'm going to come back in and do the same with my crumb cake over the top again. Just be careful you don't have too much, because it can, your lighter colours can act like your colour lifter and push colour away. So you do need to sort of be very careful and very aware of what you're doing. So there you go. There's my little, let me just hold those up so you can actually see what I've done so far. So there's my kangaroo. Probably could have lightened that line there a little bit more, which I may come back in and see if I can do. And then there's our wombat there. So let me just see if I can lighten that. That's the dark. And then that's the light. Let's see if I can just soften this line here up a bit more. So I'm just using that brush tip just to sort of a bit more of a flick across. So that just may just lighten that line. Probably could do the same thing up here. And I've just done that with the dark. Okay, let's see if we can lighten him up again. There we go. But when you're blending your colours, you really should be using like a tick type movement. So it's like when you do a tick, you're flicking. So you've got a wider edge at the bottom and you've got that lighter and finer at the end. But anyway, there's those. Now we need to colour in some of his little Christmas balls. So I'm going to start off with my Peaceful Pine, and I'm going to do that one in Peaceful Pine. I'm going to grab my Real Red. I'm going to be using Daffodil Delight. I've got all of these in the dark, and then I'm just going to repeat. Okay, so there is wombat number one, all done. Okay, so let's grab our next Mr. Wombat. We'll pop those to one side, and since I've got the Real Red here, I'm going to start by colouring in. Actually, if I've got the dark, I want the lighter one. Start colouring in this candy cane. And then I'm just going to add a little bit of the dark Real Red in there, just to give a little bit of shading. Now I can come back in with that, with my light grey granite or smoky slate, whichever one takes your fancy in some ways. And we're just going to put a little bit on these, just sort of take out. Actually, I'm going to do the same on his hat. I'm just going to put a little bit of that grey granite on his hat. I'm going to come back in with my colour lifter and just blend that colour out a little bit, because all I'm using that grey for is just to add a bit of shading, just to give a little bit of depth to the white. Okay, so that's our candy cane. So again, I'm going to grab my light in my smoky slate, or actually my grey granite. There we go. There's our 2 grey granites, and I'm going to start colouring in this wombat. Now, while I had that real red, I could have coloured in his hat. I'll come back and do that. Again, I'm just quickly layering down some colour. I'm going to come back and put some bit of blue into their eyes. Well, we know their eyes aren't real blue in real life, but hey, pretty blue eyes always looks good. Dark grey granite, I'll add some shading in there. Should move that up a little bit more, I'm sorry. And we want the crumb cake in the light, and I'm using the brush, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that brown across, just blending that grey granite out. I might just add a little bit more of the grey granite in the dark. Not grey granite, sorry, crumb cake. And the light grey granite, just to give that a little bit more of a blend out. And let's go back to our real red and just give this hat a bit of a colour. A little bit of shading, not too much. And then I have got here somewhere that blue that was running out. Let's see if we can get enough of this to give some blue to these eyes. So we've got blue in those eyes, bit of blue on that one, bit of blue on that one. So that's all of those. Now with our kookaburra here, I did the same sort of colours, except I added a bit of pecan pie into his feathers. I've added some of that balmy blue into his feathers as well, and underneath his belly there, and his beak I just did in a couple of shades of the grey and crumb cake, similar to what I've done with all of those, just to colour that in a little bit better. And then the bauble from his mouth I coloured with Daffodil Delight in the dark and used the Peaceful Pine. So that's how we're colouring in those. Now, as I said, I am doing this fairly quickly because there's a lot more I want to do. We want to cut these out now using those dies. Now, one thing I did want to share with you, as some of you may know, I've been trying to find a really good tape to replace this tape that I've been using. This is a Post-it note tape that I used to be able to get from Officeworks. It was their own brand, which I can't for the life of me now think what the brand was. But anyway, you can't buy this anymore, and this is all I've got left. And I have been researching and researching. I don't like washi tape. I don't like low-tack masking tape, because when you put it through your cut and emboss, it can press the papers together too much. You keep having to remind yourself the stamp is too expensive to buy just to make cards to send to one family. Oh, Felicity, it's cute. Come on, you got to buy it. It's fun. But, I mean, if you don't buy it, I'm hoping you learn some of these colouring techniques to use with some of the other ones that are out there, because there are some cute ones. Yes, so what I was saying, I've been trying to find something to replace the masking tape. I have found something. When on the weekend, had a craft day with a group of friends in Goulburn, and one of my friends brought this along with them. It's Scotch removable tape. Now, it's not the magic one. There is a magic tape as well, which is also in a blue box. I got this from Amazon, and so far I'm stoked with it. It's just now it has got a bit of an odour, unfortunately, but it's just a clear tape. But it's removable, and a little bit of this goes a real long way. So, yeah, I just wanted to let you know my search is over, and I highly recommend this. So let's get these cut out. So what I'm going to do is I want to cut my kangaroo out using the big one, and I really want to get... just trying to work out where, because I know he's going to lose his tail, because it's just not going to all fit. And I'm really not too worried about the fact that little bits and pieces of, like the antlers and the plum pudding are going to get lost as well, because it's more the idea of it rather than... I'm going to pop that one on there. Then this one here, and it's the same with this one. I am cutting fairly close. Probably if I wasn't using these dies, I wouldn't be cutting so close, but I'm trying to create a look of lots of stamps on a card front. So we've got that one. This little guy I'm going to use this one for, and again, it is going to be really close. It's a matter of working out what part of this I want to be seen, and I want his candy cane to be front and center. So it is going to be tight, and I'm hoping this is all going to work once it's all done. And I'm going to come back and cut that one out. So we're going to cut these out. We've got a little bit more stamping to do and a bit more cutting. So I'm going to pull out my big cut and emboss for this. Hello, Kay. How are you? Whoops. Sometimes I just wish I had an extra table in here, but I don't. I don't think I'd fit it in. So let's pop this one up on here. I know I probably could fit another one in there, but I'm just not going to at the moment. I'm just going to cut these out. Hello, Kay. I've already said hello, Kay. Sorry if I've said hello, Kay, twice, 3 times. Okay. Let's just hope this tape hasn't made a liar of me. Okay, let's just peel this off. A friend of mine gave me a piece the other day, but if you just very carefully, that just comes off so easily, and that I can reuse it. I just had a couple of pieces about that size the other day, and I just reused it. I think I used it all day. But I was just stoked that that hasn't ripped my paper at all. This little guy here we want to cut, and I've still got the I might miss something there. Oh, you use the floor instead of a table. Yeah, I do too, but then I trip over everything, and that's a big hazard for me at the moment. My feet aren't the greatest. As I said before, these are cutting very, very close, but I'm not worrying too much about it. Probably a lot closer than what I would normally have liked. I'm going to pop that one down on there. Yeah, I can't afford to have tripping hazards around me, and I've got enough as it is. I think if I have one more fall, I'm going to be having more major issues. Okay, there's that little guy. Now I'm just popping these all up on there for the moment. Pop those into there. We've got a little bit of stamping to do. So let me just remove these plates. I'm just going to pop these pieces all on the end of my desk here. Okay, I'm hoping this is all going to work out well. So what I'm going to do is got another piece of cardstock here, and I have pulled 2 stamps from the stitch stockings. So I've pulled this one and this one here. I didn't want to go into snowflakes because being Australian themed card, we don't really have snow at Christmas time, and I just thought these 2 would be good. So I'm going to be using my peaceful pine, and hopefully I can get this right. I got it right in my practice, and I'm going to stamp this one here. Now I might get my head in the road, so if I do, I'm terribly sorry, but what I'm trying to do is just line up those. I might just do it this way around. I'm lining up these stripes. It's the beauty of having photopolymer. Oh, it's a little bit out, but that's okay for what I want to do. But I just wanted to have that 2 across, and now I want to see if I can do the same with this one. So I'm going to stamp one there, and I'm going to try to bring this one up as close as I possibly can and stamp a second one so they look like they're meant to be. I'm just going to trim this down because I don't need to put all of that through. And I've got this little one here and this square here. So actually I might just do one more or 2 more. Clean up my desk there in a minute. Okay, I just needed to make that a little bit bigger because these stamps, though they're in the square, they're smaller than these. So let me just grab my cloth here. Wipe that down. Get rid of those. Then back into, whoops, we need those. We're going to pop one of those onto there. Actually, I think I had decided I was going to do it this way. No, I'm going to do it this way because I've made that bigger. Doesn't really matter. Whoops. And this one here, I just want to have, working out where you want to have that portioned. I think that's going to look good there. These are just two little filler pieces. And I'm just going to, for this, I'm just going to use my little machine. See, it comes off cleanly every time. You just got to take it easy, but it does come off relatively clean. There's the other one. Okay, let's get rid of that rubbish. Now what I'm going to do is I've got two pieces of basic white cardstock here. One's for my card insert and one is for my card front. And I've got my blending brush and we've got some Peaceful Pine. Now I'm going to do my card insert piece one first. And all I want to do is just add a little bit of the Peaceful Pine into one corner. Now where is this little fellow? And we're going to add a little bit, just very gently. Probably would be a lot easier to do this with a door, but I just want to add a little bit of colour around there. Might actually even grab a dauber since they're not that far away, they're just here. Just trying to find one that is clean-ish. There we go, that will do. I just want that to be a little bit greener, just to make those stamped edges look more like stamped edges. He is going to go there. Because I'm not using any designer series paper on this, I might just soften that corner there a little bit. Okay, so while we've got that, we've got these pieces here. Just want to go over this a little bit as well, so it's not so white looking. Again, we're just going to take edges just to define those postage stamp edges. That one, and it really doesn't matter which order you do this in. And again, I'm just going to put a little bit of colour on this just to take some of that whiteness off. So we've done that one. I'm going to pop that to one side, and I'm going to do the same with this one here. So I just want to add some colour all the way around the edges. It's really up to you how far in you want to take it. So that's our card base just like that. And then I am going to do the same with these guys here. But again, I'm really just wanting to go around the edges. I don't want to go too much onto all that work I've just done colouring. But this is just going to make them look like they're sitting in a little bit of a glow. Then again, I'm just going to go around all the edges here just to define that, so when they sit on that card base, they're going to stand out a little bit. Just going to use some of the ink that's already on my table here and just again just go around and add a little bit of colour. Because hey, we've got a lot of green in around Christmas time because we are in our summer. And a lot of these guys would be out in the bush and enjoying the trees. And that's my reason for using green, because I was contemplating also using blue as well. So you could really use any colour that you want to do this. It just, but I didn't want to put colour in the centre, so I hope I've achieved that okay. Yeah, it would be nice to see some Aussie and New Zealand animal stamps. To admit, I do wish sometimes we'd get some more, something like that. This one here, I'm just being very careful because I don't want to make my candy cane look too green. Just going to go around the edges of that. Okay, so that's all our colouring that we are doing. So let's start putting this card together. So I've got my card front, my card insert, I've got all my little bits and pieces here, and I've got my card base, which I'm using Peaceful Pine, and I've cut and scored that, folding it in half, and I like my 10-fold cards. Now I do have one more thing to stamp, but I won't be stamping that just yet until I've got all this almost put together. Yep, I think that's pretty good. Okay, so this little guy is going to go there. This one is going to go about there. That is going to go there. This is ending up a lot more greener than I was imagining. That is going to go there, and that one there can go there. just want to check something. Let's see what would look like if we just put this onto a white, because we can always cut another piece or flip that over, because there is a lot of green, probably more green than I thought I was going to end up with. It's all becoming very monotone. I think I might change it to the white, you know, because I've got to stamp my sentiment in green as yet, and I think I like the white better. I might just grab myself another piece of white. Might be a moment. And we're still going to use that. Let's just trim this down. This is just a quarter sheet. Yeah, sometimes you just go with the flow and what works and what doesn't. I think I'm going to like this better onto the white. Just might take away from that green a little bit. You can either go up or down from there. Let's just now I was going to stamp the sentiment in green, but I'm actually thinking now I might just do it in Memento Black. Just take away a little bit of that greenness. So I've set my sentiment up on my stamp positioner, the little one there, but I'm thinking I might just move, because the Christmas is in larger letters and the Mary is in smaller, and I'm going to bring them closer together. So I've lined all that up on this, and I'm going to be just using this portion without the base. So I've just got these pieces sitting here at the moment, just so then I can see where everything is going to be. We're going to ink this up. Now, because I'm doing it this way, I've only got one go at getting this right. If I put this onto, in actual fact, what I've got to do first, because I've just realised I'm getting ink everywhere. Let's wipe this down, get rid of some of that ink off there. Just want to ink that up a bit more. Because I am using this just as a guide, I want to make sure that my paper is lined up there. My grid is lined up there, and let's go for it. Okay, we're just going to hold that down for a couple of seconds. Hopefully that ink has transferred. Beautiful. Happy with that. Then this guy is going to go up here. And that one can go there like that. Just wondering if that would, because I didn't think when I was playing earlier that that was going to, no, I think it's not going to work. It's too close. I'm just having another little thought here. Don't worry about me. I'm just Sometimes I just change things a little bit. I'm going to make this slightly smaller. So I'm going to go a little bit off there. A little bit off there. And take a bit off that one. Just going to give this a little bit of a haircut because it's just a little bit frayed along there. I'm going to use that. Okay, glue. Now, if I had some nice DSP that I thought would look good with this, I would have used it, but everything was either too dark or too blue, and that's why I was sort of printing these things myself. Would give that a go. So let's just have another look at popping these on. And I think we might pop these on with dimensionals so they lift up. So I am thinking of having him down there. That there like that. This little guy right next to him. Don't forget to use up some of your edges. It's going to fit just in there. A bit too long. Okay, let's work out. Now, normally I wouldn't like, excuse me. Sorry. Now, normally I wouldn't like him looking that way because of he's looking off the card, and I would normally like something a bit bigger there, but I think if we just balance that by putting those two together, wondering if, don't think we'd have quite enough room to do one on either side. No, it's trying to get these all to sit together so they're looking like they're postage stamps. There's been a lot of playing around. But instead of going in a triangular, so it will work. We'll make it work. We'll say it works. Okay. Okay, that one there. Probably could have had my Christmas up a little bit higher if we were going to do this again. But I'm going to grab some bigger Stella. But it's got some in there. And we're just going to pop some on these little. Oh, that's a bit too much. See if I can. Don't squeeze your Winker Stella too much. Oh, well, that's coming out a bit too free now. I'll pop a little bit on there and some on that plum pudding. I don't know whether this is the best card I've ever made, because that Winker Stella didn't work too well with my blends. Don't do that. Test it first. Okay, my blends because it may have even been one that I've put alcohol in it and it's just gone out and spread all that alcohol everywhere. So I don't even think I'm going to adhere that down. But you can get an idea of where my idea of my card was going to by that. And then this little piece here was going to go here and go on the inside. But I may have to re-lift him up and see if I can replace him with another one. So that's what my card was meant to be like. Let me just bring it up and show you. But you know what? We don't get it right every single time. The other thing you could do with that, and let's just see if this is going to work, because it has given it a bit of a glow. If I put elements one place, I've got to put them in others as well, because you've got to have a purpose for doing things. Let me see what I've got in my retired stuff. Don't think there's any green in that. Now I do have somewhere, and I'm not quite sure where I have got it, a whole stack of tired bling. I don't know where I have put it. But what you can do is, if you have a situation like this, is cover it in something. Now, there's a green one in this. This might work. Let's have a look. So this is an old pack of bling from a few years ago. Monica, I'm doing your job. I'm putting stuff on the floor. And what you can do, okay, because I've got red, so I can put a red one on there and another red one on here. And now it's sort of starting to look a little bit like there's been a glow around them. I don't have a yellow, but let's just do the green, because these are, we'll pick up whatever colour is underneath them or around them. So we've got another green one there. We can add a green one there. And then I've got white instead of yellow. So let's pop a white one on, whoops, on there. Another white one there. Okay, and what I'm going to do, let's see if I can fix this a little bit. That's a dark crumb cake. That's a light crumb cake. Just colouring him in where the alcohol has moved a little bit. Now I've sort of got like a glow happening underneath. And if we wanted to, we could add because we've got those there, but we don't have any down here. So we could add a white one on the end there. Probably if I was going to do this, I'd add a few white. So we've got white there. One white there. I'm just trying to think, where should I put any more, shouldn't I? That's just covering that up. Probably making more of a mess of this now than ever before. Sometimes you're better on the side of because we've got a few up here. We've got one down here. So then at least it looks a little bit like it's all meant to be. But there's really nowhere else, unless I was sort of thinking of putting a couple along there and a couple along here. Don't know how. Look, let's just do it and see how it looks. I'm going to see with the green or the white. Probably let's go 1, 2, 3. 1. That will actually help hide some of that a little bit where we overlooked it. I don't know. Tell me, what do you think? Have we gone a little bit too far? I am very aware of it. You don't really want to put things down unless you've got a reason for putting things down. But I'm actually just got that little bit of bling on this now, and we'll might just glue this down. I wasn't going to, but hey, let's go the whole way. So what do you think? Did we end up fixing that or not? could even use, I just use a little bit of, it's either going to lighten it, push the colour away. I think it's just making that a little bit worse. But anyway, it has softened that colour a little bit. Pushing it back towards itself, because that's the blends that have I'm putting my blend on this side of it, pushing it back into that circle. Let's just pop this little fella down here. We might as well finish this off properly. Thank you, Monica. I'm not quite sure whether I love it or not. I tend to be someone who likes things to be done a little bit more perfect than that. But you know what? I think it's a good save. I think I've managed to save it to a point. You can't really see those dots there or there. They're not sort of overtaking it. I think if I used more of the green, but it's still picking up where I've put it here and put it on the end there. So he's cute. I think I've got to play with this stamp set a bit more, but I do love it. I have got another idea for it, which is going to be probably more fun. But I think I might need more designer series paper for do what I want to do. I placed an order yesterday. Anyway, if you like this, please give me a thumbs up. Please like and share. Thank you, Deborah. You're being very kind. We are our own worst critics, aren't we? Problem is, I'll probably show my husband and he'll go, nah. He'll either do that or go, oh, it's lovely, because he tells me everything is lovely. But anyway, look, it was fun. I did a bit of colouring, which is what I wanted to do, but it is a fun stamp set, and I am going to keep playing with it. And I am going to come up with other ideas of how we can use this. It's just something I sort of had a dream about, which is where I tend to do a lot of my thinking, either in the shower or when I'm half asleep and half awake. I'm saying to my husband, I need to have a notebook next to my bed so I can write these things down. But I just wish these ones here were just that little bit wider, a little bit bigger, just to fit more into the width of that. Would have been perfect. But anyway, it's good. It's done. My idea has come to fruition. Maybe not quite the way I wanted it, but it's there. So thank you very much for joining me today. I hope you've enjoyed that. Have a lovely weekend, and I will catch up with you tomorrow morning at 10:30 if you want to join me for a little bit of scrapbooking. Don't know yet what I'm doing, but I've got to sort that out now. But we will be doing something probably for my album about me, and because I'm still working on that. Otherwise, I will see you next week on Friday. So have a lovely weekend. Take care. Bye for now.